Before we do any presentation at Royal Roads University, we always acknowledge that we live, learn, and work on the traditional lands of the Quosepsum and the Kwangan ancestors and families. And learning and gathering has actually been happening on the land of Royal Roads for countless generations, and we're so grateful to be on this land. And I also want to take a moment to acknowledge that we are in month 7, 8 of a very interesting time of the global health crisis, of all the social and equity issues that have arisen through this. And we recognize that people have experienced this in a variety of different ways. And we also recognize that we're in a time of a lot of uncertainty and unknown, and that we are creating collectively a new way forward. And us at Royal Roads, that's what we're about. We're about innovation. We're about thinking outside of the box. And I'm sure many of you are having those same thoughts. So just know that we are here to support you in thinking about what life will look like and is the changes that we can make collectively. And of course, we are here to discuss the Master of Arts in Intercultural and International Communication, and as well as the Graduate Certificate in Strategic and Global Communication. So I am Alana McConaughey. I'm an education advisor at the university. I'm also a graduate and a current student, so well-versed in all things Royal Roads, so you'll be hearing from me a bit. We are joined by Dr. Zhenyi Li, who is the School of Communication and Culture School Director, as well as the program head for this program. So thank you for being here, Zhenyi. And we are also joined by Jennifer Wesman, who is a graduate of the program. So we are lucky to have her here as well. And we will be talking to her a little later in the presentation. We also have some people on the back end that maybe you can't see. So we have Christy Jones, who's my colleague. She'll be backing me up and maybe adding a few comments in the chat box. We also have Now, who's here, who will be backing up on for questions to do with an international enrollment. And then I believe we have Christine here as well, who's an enrollment advisor on the domestic end of things. So watch out for them in the chat box as well. So now that you know who we are, we'd love to get a sense of who's in the room with us. So if you would like to just type into the chat box, say hello, maybe where you're watching in from, that would be great. We'd love to hear from you. And as you do that, I'll let you know what we're going to be up to. So I'm going to take you through a really brief overview of the Royal Roads experience. Then Zhenyi is going to take you through the program specific information, and then we're going to hear from Jennifer about her experience. We're going to ask her some questions. We're going to open it up for you to ask her some questions as well. And then we'll wrap up with the application process. As I mentioned, you can ask questions, make comments throughout. We will be opening it up for a Q&A at the end of the webinar. So let's see who's in the room with us. It seems like we have a busy chat box. So I saw Elaine from Squamish. Welcome, Elaine. We have Chantel from Saskatoon. We have Roser from Vancouver, Kaya from Delta. We have Jose from Squamish as well. We have Nicole. Welcome, Nicole. Thank you for being here. Nicole is on our international recruitment team. We have Constance from Kenya. We have, sorry if I mispronounce anybody's name, Aditya from New Delhi. We have Maria from Mexico City. We have Tatiana from Calgary. We also have Tanya Swan here, who is a program associate for the program here. So she's also going to be in the chat box. We have Justin from Gatineau. I was just talking about Gatineau this morning, the wonderful Nordic spa. We have Justin from India. So welcome, keep on chatting in the chat box and letting us know where you're coming in from. Oh, wow, we have somebody from Lima, welcome. So this also represents like the great diversity of people who come through our program, specifically this program from all over the world. So really do keep watching all the different folks who are coming in. And as you keep typing, I'm going to let you know what we're going to be up to. So Royal Roads, you might already be familiar with this, but we were created 25 years ago with a different mandate for a public university. It was really about getting people skills they could take into their career immediately, and also enabling people to work if they wanted while they did their program, or do it in a fast track format. So there's a number of things that we've done differently right from the start. Just to name a few of those, we run on a first name basis. So one of the things I always mention in every webinar is the fact that I'm on degree number 2 and I still have no idea what my student number is. And I think that in itself is very unique. It's really about the fact that people get to know who you are, what kind of expertise you're going to be bringing into our learning community, because you are joining a learning community. We like to say that you learn as much from those you're sitting next to as the person who's in front of you, or the professor on the screen in front of you these days. And that takes me to the cohort model, so learning together. So we're very intentional about creating community. In the cohort model, we work with small classroom sizes. So I think with these programs, most of them, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Zhenyi, they max out at about 40. So smaller classroom sizes, lots of teamwork, lots of opportunities to get to know each other and work together and build relationships and also build those team building skills. The ability to work with others is one of the most essential non-technical skills that you can have to be successful in your career. And with that, also, life is also an education. We recognize that people learn in a variety of different ways and formats. And I think the way we express that most clearly is the fact that we have a flexible admissions model. So our flexible admissions is intended for people who don't have a traditional education background. So I'll be going through this in a little bit more detail at the end, but just to give you a sense of what that looks like. You might be somebody who did a diploma, perhaps, in communications or business or something related, and then you started working. You've worked for a number of years. So you're in a place in your career where perhaps you're not feeling like you want to go back and finish an undergrad because you've reached beyond that, but you would like to do a master's degree. So in those cases, we'll holistically assess you. So we'll look at your work experience, your education experience, your non-credential education, your volunteer experience, and we'll make an assessment on whether or not we think you're going to be successful within the program, and you may be invited in under that flexible admissions process. So that's something great to know about, perhaps for yourself, or letting colleagues know that this is something that exists. And our real world classroom. So as I said, when we were created, it was about getting people skills that they could take into their career right away. So of course we do that through having projects where you can have real world impact. All of our faculty are what we call scholar practitioners. So they either have a depth of experience working in industry or currently working in industry, ensuring that all of your readings, all of your assignments are relevant to what's going on. And that's also aligns with the fact that we're an Ashoka U Changemaker campus. So we're always ensuring that everything that you're learning has impact, and ensuring that you can actually take what you're learning outside of the walls of the classroom. So this is basically a designation that says that we are always looking for ways to do this. So I invite you to look this up if you're not already familiar with this designation, but it's a pretty exciting one. And the physical landscape, so it does exist. We haven't been there for a while, but it's a beautiful place. You can see my background. I have the castle in the background there, but we are also a National Historic Site as well as a public university. So Hatley Castle is on the property. The Esquimalt Lagoon, which is actually where Zhenyi is. He's on the Blue Heron House. He has that in the background there. It's our First Peoples House. It's a great classroom space, open concept classroom space and gathering space, and it looks out onto this view. So incredibly beautiful. And we're on 565 acres of old growth forest, so lots of nature to explore, lots of good places to walk and clear your head. And we've been offering online learning for 25 years. This is something we are so proud of right now. The fact that, you know, we're in a place where everything is being moved online, and we are experts at doing it. And it's really helped us, as other institutions have had to pivot quite dramatically to move their programs online. This is something we've been able to do with a great amount of ease. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to you, Zhenyi.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Elena. And it's so great actually to see many of you from many places in this world joining us in this webinar. And especially for those who are now in the midnight time zones. I know it's quite challenging, at least to me, to attend anything, you know, so late. Thanks a lot for your interest and for your time. What I'm going to tell you is the exciting program we have here at Royal Roads, the Intercultural and International Communication Program. I joined the Royal Roads 15 years ago with one mission, is to establish the master's program on intercultural and international communication. And this program is so dear to me because when I immigrated to Canada, there's no such a program, although Canada is a very multicultural society. And I learned these from Finland after I graduated from China. So you see, myself is also a product of intercultural and international communication. And what I want to build is a program that balance and combine the theories and the practices, also focusing on the global context without, one kind of a polar or kind of one perspective. And also very much I like to prepare our students with skills that they can really jump into the job market and find what they are interested, and also find what they can contribute and to help our society to grow. So these are like the themes that I think we insert into this program, which makes our program very much unique around the world, and it's really fortunate to always to have the support from Royal Roads University and from the community, our advisors, to set up and continuing to develop those themes in our courses. Let's go to the next slide. And what we have right now is two different tracks. One is full-time on campus, and another is also full-time but blended online and with residencies on campus. So let me use the on-campus program as an example. Basically, it will take you about 18 months to complete the program. Everyone has to take the 9 core courses for 27 credits, and then you can choose to complete the program what we call course-based or an internship-based. Let's go to the next slide. And so after an online orientation, you are joining us for the first term, 14 weeks with 3 courses. And those 3 courses are also the same for the Global Strategic Communication graduate certificate program. I will also introduce that shortly. And then the term 2 also has 3 other courses. We're continuing with term 3, 2 elective courses in term 3. So, and then we move to term 4 and 5. Next slide. Thank you. So the term 4 is, regardless if you are attending an on-campus or online program, the term 4 is online, because many of you will conduct your research paper or internship in many different places in this world. And so we don't want you only be locked in Victoria in BC. So so that's why we convert term 4 as an online term, and then you return to campus to complete the last term, term 5, with 2 more courses, and then you graduate. The online blended model has a little bit modification, but in general, it's very much similar. Currently, because of the pandemic, both online and on-campus programs are delivered online. As Lena already introduced, Royal Roads has been offering online courses for 25 years, and we felt like it's quite easy and natural for us to convert those courses online and continue all the activities with the students around the world online. And we definitely look forward to welcome you back to our campus after this COVID-19 pandemic's over. So let me move to the graduate certificate in strategic global communication. Next slide. And yes, so it's basically the term one of our master's program. The reason we built it is that for some of you may felt, oh, well, make a 24 months or 18 months commitment is quite a big issue. And so we would say, okay, why not take the first term and test the water. And if you see it's fit, you definitely can continue with us. If you see you need a break, or if you see that's good enough for you for now, then you already obtained a graduate certificate from Railroads. And that's the way we call an embedded model, so that later, anytime, if you want to continue with us, you don't need to take this term one again. And so all these 9 credits are transferable to your master's program. And I think you know, for all the syllabus details, course descriptions of these courses, you can find in our school website, the program website, and you also can email to our admission office, or you can ask Tanya, who's our program associate, also attending this webinar right now. And also you can email me. You can ask questions about these courses. What I like to do is actually introduce one of our outstanding graduates, Jennifer Wesman, to share her experience with this program. Also, you know, her experience after graduating from this program, see, you know, how this program helps her to develop in her career. And then Jennifer and I and Elena, Tanya, we can come back to answer your questions. So I'd like to pass to Jennifer. Thank you.
So welcome, Jennifer. I'm just going to quickly note, I do see there is a few questions, so I'm just going to reiterate that we will be, after we talk to Jennifer and then we just go through the application process, we will be having a Q&A, and I'm tracking all of them, so don't worry about it. I will make sure we get to them. So Jennifer, thank you so much for being here with us today. I'd love if you just began with maybe giving a bit of your background of when you did the program. I know it was a little bit different structure when you did it, and a little bit about like your professional background. That would be a wonderful way to introduce yourself to everyone. Oh, you're muted.
There we go. Of course I am. I was saying thank you, Alana, and thank you, Zhenyi. It's a pleasure to be here. And hello to everyone out there from all over the world. So my name is Jennifer Wesman, and I was just thinking back, I think it's been about a decade now, like 10 years since I've done the program. It had a different name, but my specialization was intercultural international communication at that time. And I think I was the second cohort when the program first started up. So back then I was living in Vancouver, BC, and today I live in Halifax, Nova Scotia, which is on the other side of Canada. And wow, like what a journey. I'm just thinking back to how this program has really been a springboard to my own professional career. So just to give you a little bit of background, right now, I currently work at an organization called EduNova. And EduNova is in Nova Scotia. We're an educational institution that works with the federal and provincial governments, as well as all of the 10 universities and the Nova Scotia community colleges in the province, language schools, private K-12 schools as well. So my role here is working on a program called Study and Stay, and it's with hundreds of international students actually across Atlantic Canada. It started off as a pilot back in 2016 when I moved here, and it's since gone pan-Atlantic. So I've been able to put this program into a lot of my practice that I do. However, when I started back in 2010, I was working at a national literacy organization called Frontier College. And that program, or the programming that I was doing there, was working with incredibly diverse groups and some very marginalized groups of learners. We had literacy programs working with African and Middle Eastern refugee women. We had programs with First Nations youth, inner city youth, domestic workers and live-in caregivers, farm workers. And part of my role back then was in training and supporting hundreds of volunteers to work with our learners at different stages of literacy. And what I realized is that the training that we were doing focused a lot on different sort of models of learning and multiple intelligence and whatnot, but there was a gap in intercultural communication and development. And so for me, getting to it, so this is what really sprung my interest in the program, is realizing that there are gaps out there. And when you're working with diverse groups of people, that it's really important to have intercultural skills. And so I did my research, and it took me about a year, and I kept going back to Royal Roads University and the program and thinking about how it could support and develop my own career. So I think, Alana, was that your first question, was sort of why I decided to get involved with the program? Because I think that's it. It's just, it matched everything. Also for me, the values of Royal Roads University really matched my own values. And I really loved that it was flexible. Oh, there's the questions.
Yes, thank you so much. No, you hit it. You hit the first question. One thing I just was wondering if you could just note on is because it was a bit of a different format when you did the program. So this program actually wasn't fully developed into what it is now. So you basically did the intercultural international as a specialization within your Master's of Professional Communication. Is that correct?
Yeah, but it was basically woven through everything that we did. So I see a lot of the coursework that Zhenyi mentioned, and I remember doing stuff like that back, and some new things that have been added. So it's great to have been part of that early process. And yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so can you think back to the questions and concerns that you had before you were beginning the program, when you were looking at this program?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for me, I had, again, I felt that gap, and I wanted to explore if there was anything out there in intercultural communication. And there wasn't a whole lot actually at that time. And I still think that there is a gap in many cases right now. So this program spoke to me, but what I was concerned about was going back to school. I had taken a few years off and was working full time. And so again, I think that was my concern, was more of the work-life balance, which I think that Royal Roads did a really great job at addressing, as well as just wondering, I mean, it's an investment, it's money, and you often wonder, like, is this the right thing when you invest in something? So for me, again, I did my research. I listened to my gut and was really, I talked to people as well. I did a lot of talking to people, and then I committed to the investment. And I think, I don't regret it at all, because it's given back to me. And I think education does give back to you, and it's given back to the communities of people that I've worked with as well. So.
Thank you. Can you think about the most challenging and rewarding parts of the program and give us a little bit of a description of what that memory is like for you?
Yeah, so I think challenging was, again, that work-life balance, because I did go back, I was working full-time, but what at the same time it was rewarding, because everyone in my cohort was in the same boat. So I think we were able to be peer support for each other. One of the most challenging things was probably, I guess, the nature of the program is that you are working with people all over the world, and that there are some team assignments. And so of course that can be a challenge in itself. Scheduling. So it's more about scheduling, working with time zones. But I think that challenge is also an opportunity, because it's a reality of working in a global environment. And so you learn a lot of skills. Certainly I learned a lot of skills in working with different time zones and different people, and also scheduling my own work-life balance. But those were, I mean, small challenges compared to the rewards that I got out of the program, including the pathway it's been to my career now, and the people that I've met. Like, I think I definitely have friends both here and in China and all over the world, because we did our 2-week overseas internship in China. I know that now with the pandemic and everything, that's not happening. But I think the instructors were really great. And so I've still maintained connections with many people, instructors there. Yeah, and it was exactly what I wanted for me.
Thank you so much. All right. So in terms of benefit from the program, you know, you've had quite significant professional development. I know you talked about this a little bit in the beginning, but maybe you can talk about it in a holistic thing. Because one thing that I always love to say about Royal Roads is one of the special sauces that we do. And the reason that I do this job and how much I love it is there is a real opportunity to look at ourselves as well as learn externally. And I know this is a bit of a conversation happening in the chat box right now around, you know, looking at anti-racism and, you know, everything that's going on in the world right now. And that is absolutely something that is part of the program and part of the fabric of Royal Roads is really looking at colonialism and anti-racism and reflecting on ourselves and what the blocks are within ourselves to be successful, to be a better person. So sorry, I'm just trying to contextualize kind of what that thing is and just wondering what your experience of the professional and personal growth was in the program.
Sure. Yeah. Well, like just thinking back to your values of the real world classroom with Royal Roads University, that to me is really important. And I think that is where I developed very much professionally. I think through a lot of the reflection exercises that we did and just being able to like live and learn experiences makes me a better person, makes me a better person with the people that I work with. And, you know, the goal of life is not, to live forever, but to create opportunities that can. And so certainly that's what I've been able to do is give back to my communities and understand the people I'm working with, be able to see things from different perspectives. I think it's incredibly important to be able to have dialogue and constructive dialogue, especially in this day and age. And like personally, professionally, I mean, it's incredible. After I finished at Frontier College, I went on actually that year after I finished I think it was after I finished my degree, I applied for a Rotary Group study exchange over to Tanzania, East Africa. So I was able to go there. This program opened up doors for me to become a cross-cultural health promotion, working in neighborhood houses with long-term residents and newcomers, as well as teaching for international students. So after like this, I think it really was the experience that I had through this program. I was able to teach at a few different universities back on the West Coast, including Royal Roads University, Simon Fraser, and UBC, working with host refugees at UBC. And then when I left to come here to Nova Scotia, and this is what's interesting is I think that like you need to commit to the program that you do. And moved here to Nova Scotia. I didn't know anybody. I had no connections. I left 17 years of contacts in Vancouver, but I felt very confident in the what I'd learned at Royal Roads, the experience that I had, and when a job opened up here at Genova, working with international students, and you know, in the areas of settlement as well, it was the perfect fit for me. So professionally, that's my springboard to my career. And my programs that I work with international students, I mean, gosh, in a cohort of 50, we have over 29 nationalities. So I think the learning never stopped with Royal Roads University. It gave me grounded theory that I was able to blend with practice, which I still do today, like 10 years later. So it really is, I think, a lifelong learning process.
Thank you so much. Finally, and now I'm going to open it up for everyone. If you have any questions that you want to ask Jennifer, now is a great time to pop them in. She will be on till the end of the call, but now is a good time. So if you were to give a piece of advice to a future student, what would it be?
I think, well, for me, it would be do your research. So I know you're all probably in that stage right now, looking at different opportunities and programs. I'm a strong believer in the philosophy of the education of our gut, so our instinct. And I think if it feels right, it usually is right. If you blend that research and then listen to yourself and how you're able to apply things, I think it's important to also think about how you can continue. For me, it was continuing working while I did this program was really important because it really brought together the theory and the practice. And I think that's where the enrichment of this is as well as in the experiences of people in the cohort. So yeah, I think that would be my greatest advice to people. And, you know, sometimes the secret to life is not in saying no, but it's to say yes and to jump in. So for me, that's what I did, and I haven't regretted it at all.
Thank you. Yeah, it's so true. Hey, I always have that thing with school. It's like time will pass. You know, if it's something you want to do, it's like time will just go by whether you do it or not. So like if you want to do it, just do it, you know? But I do have a question that's come in from Michelle, and I'm not sure if maybe it's something that you can speak to specifically, but you might have insight from another colleague that you did the program with. So in terms of balancing being a single mother and working full time and taking this program, I know in other programs, this is something that I have seen a number of people do, but I'm wondering if you have personal insight or had watched other colleagues do this in your cohort.
Absolutely, yeah, and we did have single moms in our group as well, with yeah, and people from all over, and you know, I think lives today are busier than ever before. So I mean, in terms of for example, like the group work that we did, you know, it's really flexible, and I think people are really forgiving and understanding of where and what's on our plates. So the nature of the program and the people in it, including the instructors, are really easy to work with in terms of those flexibilities. Yeah, and then coursework, you know, you can do things at the time zone that works for you. In the evening, the professors are often available. So, um, you know, I think Royal Roads did a great job at putting people first and really being flexible and bending to meet you where you are.
That's such a good point. That's something that I hear from all the graduates that I talk to, either it be at events or coming on webinars, is how much support is there, and that I would say is a bit of a difference. Not necessarily all institutions. There's some wonderful professors out there, but there's really that emphasis on wanting students to succeed and understanding that people have full lives and finding ways to help people make it work. So I know, you know, certain people, if something comes up in their life and they need to step away from the program and then rejoin a year later with a different cohort, that's something that's often open, or, you know, there's a lot of ways that you can find support, and also the support of the cohort. That's something else that's really wonderful. You know, you're in a small classroom size and people will really come together and support each other when they're struggling. It's one of the beauties of it. It's something that I've heard, again, probably you had your own experience with this, when one person's really having a hard time, everybody kind of gathers around and helps them get through that time.
Absolutely. And I think it's when people struggle together is when, you know, the greatest bonds are formed, and you can also work together to figure out solutions to any challenges. So, and that was another, I think, really rewarding thing, thinking about rewards, is the soft skills that you develop, because I think soft skills are really important. And I know we live in a world that's so focused on hard skills and technical skills, but technical skills change like every, like, you know, 6 months, year, 2 years. But if you have soft skills such as intercultural communication and development, I mean, those transfer, and those really transfer across a lot of different labor market fields as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's like, you know, that essential non-technical skills, you know, they're really, if you can learn, which most of us are, you know, very skilled learners, it's you know, it's the soft skills that will really get you to that next level. So there was a question, and I think you could probably speak to it really well, seeing as your career is in this, but how often do students in this program pursue a career in academia? So Zhenyi, you probably have some more overarching insight on this, but Jennifer probably does too, so.
Yeah, I will let Jennifer answer this question first. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, from my cohort, certainly there was a number that went on to do their PhD, and that are teaching as well and that pursued academia. Myself, I actually considered going on for a further education PhD, but then I just got so passionate and in love with the work that I'm doing that I didn't, but I was able to teach on the side. And so I think that there's opportunities there. Again, it's really about what you want your career to look like, and this isn't a program that's easy to lead into you know, a further career, I think, in academia, for sure.
Yeah, well, it, you know, in the past 12 years, many of our graduates continued to different PhD programs. Every time, you know, I met Jennifer, I encouraged her to continue, and we know that, and yeah, you know, it's she's just, too busy, and her boss really like to keep her and expand her, tasks, from Nova Scotia to all the, Atlantic provinces. And well, there's kind of a competition, I think between, us and the practitioners. But this doesn't really stop our graduates to continue for their PhD study, or to become an academia, as a teaching faculty member in different institutions. I can give you a quite long list who's graduating from which university with a PhD, or who's currently teaching at post-secondary institutions. And MAIIC, that's what we call ourselves, have a Facebook group, and we currently have about 200 active members. And we are still staying together, like Jennifer, has been, with us for 10 years, and we are still staying together, and we are sharing, job opportunities, and great news, and also, new babies, new weddings, and all exciting news. And so
it's a community.
it is a community, and every new cohort, we call each group of the same intake as a cohort, and we are adding new cohorts to this Facebook groups, and we are supporting each other. And so as the professor for this program, as well as the program head, I always keep writing recommendation letters, reference letters for my graduates, for their jobs, and for their PhD applications. And I often receive, positive and exciting news that they got the job, they got the promotion, and they got enrolled in the PhD program. As a most recent example is Teresa Sussham. She graduated also from us, and then it took her another almost 10 years to complete a PhD in Fielding Graduate Schools. And now we hire her to teach for us. And so it's kind of a continuing relationship. And when Jennifer moved from Vancouver to Halifax, it's a little bit sad for me, because I always like to have Jennifer teaching for us and visiting us on campus. But with the bless of a Zoom, we can welcome her back and sharing with us. And it's often the previous cohort and the current cohort, they mentor together and share resources together. So. And I think I also want to answer.
Zhenyi, do you want me to quickly go through this, and then we can open it up to a bigger discussion? Or did you want to hit this question first? Okay, I'm going to
you do this first, and then I read the chat box and organize my answers to the.
Sounds great. Let's do that. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly go through this, and then I'm going to take down the PowerPoint, and we're going to get into a discussion. So I do encourage you to start thinking about questions as I go through here. All right, so in terms of the application process for the standard admissions, this is the completion of a 4-year undergraduate degree with a minimum GPA of a B from a recognized post-secondary institution. So we are normally looking for at least 2 years of work or volunteer experience, preferably in a leadership capacity. But again, leadership can take so many forms these days. So please don't write yourself off if you haven't been in a formal managerial position or something that you would, it would be just seen as formal leadership. There's a lot of ways to express leadership, and this is where it's great to talk to an enrollment advisor if you're not sure what your experience is. If it's fitting, they can really help guide you, and often people have so much more experience that they really give themselves credit for. But there is an aspect of, if this this experience would be really wonderful if it did happen in a multicultural, intercultural, and international setting, and fostered a basic understanding of intercultural communication and competence. So of course, these days, I think many people do work in different settings that do fit this, but again, really thinking about how that that has fostered that sort of awareness within you. And Zhenyi, feel free in this aspect to jump in and add anything if you would like. In terms of the flexible admissions, I talked about this in the beginning, but this is where we will holistically assess you. So in these cases, we will be looking for evidence of having the knowledge, skills, and abilities to complete a demanding academic master's degree. And so we've kind of broken it down to how many credits somebody has had and what kind of work experience we would be looking for. So applicants who have more than 3 years of relevant post-secondary, we would look for at least 2 years, and preferably in a leadership capacity. So again, you would be admitted on a flexible admission, but we would be looking kind of at the quality of what your work experience would be. So those with a diploma or 2 or 3, so 60 to 90 credits from a recognized post-secondary should have at least 5 years of relevant international intercultural work experience in a leadership capacity. And applicants with less than 2 years of relevant post-secondary should have at least 10 years of high-level professional communication experience in a leadership capacity. So again, with flexible admissions, this is especially, I think, an important one. Have a conversation with the enrollment advisors. They know flexible admissions very, very well. They connect with people all the time. Do not write yourself off. If you do have some gaps, we can find out what those are and help you find ways to fill those gaps so that you can be a stronger applicant. So do keep that in mind. And then in terms of key dates, so we have the blended, which blended is basically online, and traditionally it was online integrated with on-campus residencies. So generally those are a few weeks. Right now, those are till obviously things shift with COVID-19, those are being delivered online. But the next intake is going to be March 2021, and the application deadline is currently December the 8th, so not too far off. So if you are considering coming in through this particular cohort, getting your application started is a good idea, and I'll be going through what that means in just a minute. And then in terms of the grad cert that we discussed, that also has the same start date and deadline, and then the on-campus program starts on September 6th, and the application deadline is June the 7th. And I see I have a typo there, I apologize. But with that, I should say that we do have rolling admissions, so the sooner you apply, the sooner you can find out that you get into the program. So it's generally 6 to 8 weeks once you've submitted all your documents, and then you can find out if you got in and start planning for that. And I know specifically people who are coming in internationally, you're gonna probably want more time to get everything in order. Did you want to add something, Zhenyi? Are you good?
No, not really.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Okay, so in terms of the application process, it's $126.28, very specific number, I know. And then the supporting documents are the official transcripts need to come to us sealed, so whatever your academic background is, from as many institutions as you've been at, all come to us so we can review them. And then your detailed resume. So this is not a typical CV, this is a multi-page document that details all of your work experience, all of your volunteer experience, your education, your non-credential education. This is going to be specifically important if you're coming through your flexible admissions, because this is really where you're making the case of everything that you've done and why you should be let into the program without a formal 4-year undergraduate degree. The personal statement is, I love it. I've done a few of them now, and it's really about clarifying and distilling why you want to do this program, what you're hoping to get out of it, what you're hoping to bring into the cohort. There's some guiding questions that will help you write it. But it's again, it's like, you know, I was saying there is this inherent reflection of self-development that happens within this program, and this is where it starts. You start this program by taking a moment to really reflect on why you're doing this, and this is something that is read and really seen with a lot of value in terms of admitting you into the program. So do spend some time and put some effort behind this. In terms of the 2 letters of reference, in a perfect world, it would be 1 academic reference and 1 professional reference. If you aren't in touch with anybody in academia, we will accept 2 professional. They do need to come through a professional letterhead or a professional email. So just keep that in mind, that they can't be coming in through a personal email. And financial aid, I know there is a number of questions coming in through financial aspects. So you can go onto our website, our financial aid website, and I'll just ask if Kelsey or someone could add the link there, because of course, because I'm screen sharing, you can't actually get that live link anymore. But you can check out the website for bursaries, see what's available in that regard. Also, the financial aid email or their phone number, you can get in touch with them and talk to them about tuition schedules. So I know if you look at the final number, you know, it can be like, okay, you know, trying to work out how that's going to look over the period that you're in the program, but you are paying on a schedule. You can almost think about paying per credit. So it can be a lot easier to kind of plan and contextualize your tuition schedule when you get kind of that what that's going to look like over the time that you'll be in the program. And of course, Enrollment Services. So they've been very active in the chat box, putting lots of live links. They are here to support you through this process. I really encourage you to reach out to them. They're super great, wonderful, helpful people who want to support you, and will connect you with faculty if you want to ask questions specific to faculty. So do reach out to them, please. And from here, as promised, we are going to go into our discussion. So I'm going to stop sharing and open it up. If anybody feels comfortable, you're welcome to turn on your camera. If you want to ask a question verbally, you can put your hand up. And maybe Zhenyi, you know what, if you don't mind, I'm just going to start because I did notice the conversation talking about looking at racism and cultural, you know, really examining that. And I will let you speak to that because I know it's an inherent part of the program. And as I said, an inherent part of the fabric of Royal Roads. But one thing that I will send out with the follow-up, we have a Communication Matters webinar series that the School of Communication and Culture has been putting on, examining various contemporary topics. And there was a webinar that Zhenyi actually participated in a few months ago about the visual metaphor of the mask. And I think that that might be a really great webinar for people who have concerns around that to watch and kind of see the different aspects that were being looked at. It was a panel, Zhenyi, Alalu, Chasten, and Michelle, yes, who looked at different, you know, race with COVID-19, all these different elements. And so it is something that is being examined and looked at, and it's a beautiful webinar. So please do check that out. And there's lots of other great webinars there, but I think, you know, you want to see that in action. I saw, Michelle, you want to see kind of some tangible evidence of that. And I think that that's a really good place to start. But I'll let you speak to that now, Zhenyi.
Oh, thank you. So there are quite many questions, and if I miss some of these, you know, remind me. If we don't have enough time, feel free to email me, and I try to save some time also for Jennifer to respond about the Study and Stay program. I saw a question from Nalin about career path. We basically have, you know, students coming from government, non-governmental, business, education, healthcare, and consulting, you know, different backgrounds. So career path, basically, as a program head, usually I organize my office hours and talk with each of the students and discuss about, you know, possibilities and connect them with professionals and academias. And this relates to another question about, you know, whether Rosa asked about, you know, underpaid jobs or these things. I think the spirit of our program, of course, it's not simply for job seeking, but what I encourage everyone and the model out is to create your own job, to to give your boss a clear evidence, like how valuable, what's your value. And with the intercultural and the international communication expertise, I'm very much confident and that all of us, we will end up in well, let's say, well-paid, well-deserved position. And so that's a quick answer to your question, Rosa, but I can elaborate further. There are questions about internship and the research project, course-based. Tanya already responded. And we will have a lot of discussion after you join us. It's not a decision you shall make it right now. And you also don't have enough preparation yet. And this only takes place in your second year. So I would basically say, take your time, no rush to make that decision. There are applications open for March 2022. I leave that question to the mission office. I believe, it keeps going on automatically. And past this
So we had a little blip there, technically. You there,
so I
Zhenyi?
pass this to, yeah,
There. Okay.
yeah, I found, yes, I rejoined you. And please, Jennifer, there are people asking about stay and study and stay, and I think it's a great initiative, and it's also a great example how necessary intercultural communication is right now in Canada. And yes, please.
Just also, before I get there, I want to mention one thing you were talking about, sort of the worry that some people may have about what are they going to do after the program. That actually was one of the concerns I had as well. But I want to say that if you're confident and you put in, you give your 100% of the program, like I don't have any worries that this program will take all of you if you do it in pretty amazing career journeys and opportunities, as it did for myself. And so having said that, with Study and Stay, so Study and Stay is a program unique to Nova Scotia. So here at EduNova Cooperative, where I work, we have a program called Study and Stay. Now it's for final year international students. So students do have to be already living and studying here in Nova Scotia, and then they enter it in their final year. It's a selection process, but it's with a select group of international students from all over the province and now all over Atlantic Canada, supporting our students in living and working in the province post-graduation. So for us, it was one thing to recruit international students to Nova Scotia, but then, it's important for us to also work and do what we can to retain. So the name is Study and Stay, and many people think it's an immigration program. It's not a guaranteed immigration program per se, but it's more of a pre-employment program that immigration is one of the pillars. So we work very, very closely with the Nova Scotia Office of Immigration just to make sure that our students have information and are connected. In the program, we do a whole year. We work with our international students during their final year of study to help to increase things like networking, mentorship, the labor market in Nova Scotia and Atlantic Canada, making sure they have the resources and are also connected to resources on campus. So the unique thing about EduNova is we work with all over the institutions. So collectively, it's an amazing model. I've never seen anything like it, which is also why I'm so passionate about it. It's people, institutions in the province, as well as our federal and provincial government working to support students to stay. So we do an intercultural development and communication, as well as intercultural communication for the workplace is part of the holistic program. So there's many different pillars, and intercultural and professional communication is just one pillar. So so I'm able to use what I've learned in the program to put in place here in the work that we do with our international students. And I think it's the beauty about this program is it's incredibly diverse. Like I said, every year we have 50 students that we select in Nova Scotia alone. So that's 50 students though in every single 4 Atlantic provinces. And on average, it's 29 nationalities, which is like amazing, I think, just the diversity. And to me, it's important that the place I live is diverse and welcoming and inclusive. And so I'm really committed to to making that experience for international students, and also to working with our employers and business community here in Nova Scotia, so that students will have a positive success in the workplace and be able to transition from student to professional in their final year of study with Study and Stay. That was a bit long-winded, but it's a very complicated program. And again, if you're interested, please connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to have a Zoom call with anybody and to discuss further.
Thank you so much, Jennifer.
Well, this is a great example. Yeah, this is a great example, like how MAIIC prepared everyone. Because, on one hand, this program is very Canadian, but on the other hand, it's also very global. Our graduates, they work in Canada, and they also work globally. So Jennifer, you remember, Denise, for example, she's a Canadian, but she lives and works in Shanghai for many years, and raised a family there. And we also have international students, studied and worked and also stayed with us in Canada. But more in general is our graduates are encountering different cultures, different people in their work, in their life, and they always find, this program does not only helped in their professional development, but also personal development. And yes, Alain, I will stop here. I think we are almost run out of.
Yeah, we're just coming up to
Let's
time.
conclude.
Yeah, thank you, Zhenyi. Yeah, we want to respect everyone's time. We know everybody has a busy schedule. If there was a few questions that weren't answered, you can reach out to me directly after, and I will connect you with who you need to talk to figure that out. We're happy to have follow-up conversations, and in fact, many people, this is the beginning of the follow-up conversation, is because you all have your unique situations that you want to figure out if it's going to be the right fit for you. So I really encourage you to connect with me or one of the enrollment advisors. But I want to thank everyone for joining us today. It's been a wonderful session, great questions, great diversity in the group. So I hope that you got what you needed. And for those listening to the recording, again, please reach out. And I want to especially thank Jennifer for joining us and taking time out of your day to share your experience and all the wonderful work that you've done within the world of intercultural education, international education. And thank you, Zhenyi, for joining us and giving all your wonderful insight on the program. And thank you to everyone on the back end who's been helping out with the chat box, and so Christy and Kelsey, Christine, thank you so much. And I hope that everyone has a wonderful day, and we will be in touch with you whenever you want to be. Thanks again. Bye for now.
Bye.